Kumi tossed and turned in her bed, the thin sheet tangled around her legs as she struggled to find comfort. The humid night air pressed down on her, thick and unmoving, making it nearly impossible to sleep. Outside, the distant hum of the city was muffled by the heavy darkness, but inside her mind, a storm raged. Images flickered behind her eyelids, vivid, haunting, and impossible to ignore. Again and again she saw the same face, a proud, regal visage cast in bronze, its features both beautiful and intimidating. The king's eyes, deep and ancient, seemed to follow her every movement, as if searching for something only she could provide. His presence was overwhelming, filling her dreams with a sense of purpose she couldn't quite grasp. Each time he appeared, his lips moved, whispering words in a language older than memory, a tongue she didn't know but somehow understood in her bones. The sound of his voice was like distant thunder rolling across the savannah, powerful and insistent, echoing through the chambers of her heart. She felt the weight of his message, even if its meaning remained just out of reach. I sat up suddenly, my heart pounding like a talking drum in my chest, the rhythm echoing in my ears. My breath came in short, sharp bursts, and I pressed my hand to my chest, trying to steady myself. The dream felt so real, so urgent, as if the king's spirit had reached across centuries just to find me. What did it mean? Why did this ancient bronze king seek me out night after night, refusing to let me rest? Was he trying to warn me, or was he calling me towards something I couldn't yet see? The questions swirled in my mind, refusing to settle, leaving me anxious and wide awake in the darkness. Wiping the sweat from her brow, Kumi glanced around her small, familiar room. The walls, decorated with vibrant Ankara fabrics, seemed to close in around her, both comforting and confining. Her eyes landed on the framed acceptance letter to the University of Benin, Uniben, pinned proudly above her desk. It was a symbol of her hard work, her dreams, and the new life waiting for her just beyond the horizon. A wave of nervous excitement washed over her, mingling with the lingering unease from her dream. Soon, she would leave home, step into a world of new possibilities, and chase the future she had always imagined. But the dream clung to her, a mysterious prelude to her journey, as if the king's whispers were guiding her towards something greater than she could yet understand. The room, filled with memories of her childhood and the gentle presence of her late mother's photograph on the nightstand, felt both safe and charged with expectation. Kumi wondered if her mother too had ever felt the pull of something ancient and unseen. It's been like this for weeks, ever since I received my acceptance letter. Each night, the Bronze King visits my dreams, his presence growing stronger, his message more insistent. Sometimes I wake up with his words still echoing in my mind, their meaning slipping away like water through my fingers. I try to tell myself it's just the stress of starting university, the fear of leaving home and stepping into the unknown. But deep down, I know it's more than that. The king's eyes hold secrets, and his voice carries a promise or a warning I can't ignore. I wonder if anyone else has ever felt this way, haunted by a past that isn't theirs, called by ancestors they've never met. The line between dream and reality blurs, and I find myself searching for answers in the shadows of my own thoughts. Something deep within Kumi whispered that it was no ordinary dream. The air in her room felt charged, as if the walls themselves were listening. She could sense the presence of something ancient, watching over her, waiting for her to understand. The king's face, so vivid in her dreams, lingered in her mind even as she tried to focus on the day ahead. She wondered if the stories her grandmother used to tell, of spirits, ancestors, and the power of dreams, were more than just bedtime tales. Perhaps, she thought, the past was reaching out to her, asking her to remember, to listen, to act. This was a calling, an ancestral echo she couldn't ignore. Kumi felt the weight of generations pressing gently on her shoulders, urging her forward. The king's whispers were not just a warning, but an invitation to discover her roots, to embrace her destiny, and to find the courage to step into the unknown. As the first light of dawn crept through her window, Kumi knew that her journey was only beginning, and that the answers she sought would be found not just in the world outside, but deep within herself.
Kumi, my dear, you look worried. Is something troubling you? You know you can always talk to me, no matter how strange or difficult it may seem.
Professor Peter, Kumi's uncle, peered at her over his spectacles, his gaze gentle but probing. He was a renowned historian, respected not just for his knowledge, but for the warmth and wisdom he brought to every conversation. His eyes, always twinkling with the promise of a story, seemed to hold the secrets of ages past. The room was filled with the scent of old books and the quiet dignity of Edo carvings, each artifact a silent witness to centuries of history. Kumi hesitated, her fingers tracing invisible patterns on the table. She was unsure how to explain the strange dreams that haunted her nights, visions that felt both ancient and urgent, as if they were messages from another world. The weight of her secret pressed down on her, making her heart race. Every night the dreams grew more vivid. She saw shadowy figures, heard voices speaking in a language she didn't understand, and always the image of a bronze king loomed large, his eyes filled with sorrow and hope. Could she tell him about the bronze king in the whispers of a forgotten language? Would he believe her, or think it was just the anxiety of a young woman about to embark on a new chapter of her life? "It's nothing, Uncle. Just nerves about starting university. I suppose I'm just overwhelmed by everything that's changing." Professor Peter, however, was not easily fooled. He saw right through her facade, a knowing smile playing on his lips. He had spent a lifetime reading between the lines of ancient texts and the faces of his students. He recognized the look of someone carrying a secret, and he knew that Kumi's worries ran deeper than she let on.
Ah, Uniben. A place of learning, yes, but also a place of secrets. You'll find that the walls of that university have witnessed more than just lectures and exams. There are stories hidden in every corner, waiting for someone curious enough to uncover them.
He began to speak of the ancient Edo kingdom, his voice weaving a tapestry of history and legend. He told her of powerful kings who once ruled with wisdom and strength, of a civilization renowned for its artistry and culture. The magnificent Benin bronzes, he explained, were more than just beautiful objects. They were symbols of a people's identity, their pride, and their pain. But then came the colonialists, who tore these treasures from their homeland, scattering them across distant lands and museums. Treasures of her heritage, hidden in plain sight. Some bronzes, he whispered, were said to have never left the city, concealed by those who refused to let their legacy be erased. Even now, echoes of the past lingered in the most ordinary places, behind books, beneath floorboards, within the very walls of their home. As a child, Kumi had listened to her uncle's stories with wide-eyed wonder, never fully grasping their significance. Now, as she sat across from him, she felt the weight of those stories settle on her shoulders, as if she were being called to play a part in their continuation. Kumi listened, captivated by his words. The room seemed to fade away, replaced by visions of ancient palaces, bustling markets, and the gleam of bronze in the sunlight. She could almost hear the distant drums and the chants of her ancestors. She'd always known about the Benin bronzes from history books, but hearing her uncle speak of them, his voice thick with passion and sorrow, ignited a fire in her own heart. It was as if the stories had come alive, reaching out to her across time, demanding to be remembered and reclaimed.
They were more than just art, Kumi. They were the very soul of our ancestors. Each bronze tells a story, of triumph, of loss, of resilience. To hold one is to hold a piece of our history, to feel the heartbeat of those who came before us.
His words struck a chord in Kumi, echoing the whispers of the Bronze King in her dreams. She felt a shiver run down her spine, as if the spirits of her ancestors were reaching out to her, urging her to listen, to remember, to act. For the first time, she felt a connection to her history, a legacy she could no longer ignore. The stories were not just tales of the past, they were a call to action, a reminder that the past lived on in her, shaping her present and her future. The bronzes were more than stolen artifacts. They were a part of her, calling her to reclaim them. As she reached out to touch a small bronze on the table, she felt a surge of determination. The journey ahead would not be easy, but she knew, deep in her heart, that she could no longer turn away from the legacy that was rightfully hers. Kumi sat with her cousin Sonia, beneath the shade of a sprawling mango tree on the Uniben campus. The tree's thick branches stretched overhead, casting a cool, dappled shadow that offered a welcome escape from the midday sun. Around them, the world seemed to hum with possibility, the start of a new semester breathing life into every corner of the university grounds. The air buzzed with the energy of a new semester. Students, both old and new, hurried across the campus, their arms full of books and dreams. The sound of laughter and animated conversation drifted through the air, mingling with the distant calls of birds perched in the trees. Students hurried to lectures, their laughter echoing across the courtyard. Some paused to greet friends they hadn't seen all summer, while others rushed past, eager to claim the best seats in their new classes. The campus was alive with anticipation, every face alight with hope and curiosity. Yet beneath the surface of this vibrant scene, Kumi couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every so often she glanced over her shoulder, half expecting to see the Bronze King's imposing figure lurking in the distance. His presence seemed to linger at the edge of her vision, a shadow that refused to fade. "You haven't told me what's been bothering you. I can see it in your eyes, Kumi. You're not really here with me, are you?" Sonia, with her bright smile and infectious laugh, had a way of seeing right through Kumi's attempts to hide her true feelings. She was the kind of person who could turn even the darkest day into something lighter, simply by being present. Her warmth was a comfort, a gentle reminder that Kumi wasn't alone. Kumi hesitated, her fingers nervously tracing patterns in the dirt. Then, in a quiet voice, she began to pour out her heart. She spoke of the strange, vivid dreams that haunted her nights, dreams filled with ancient voices and shadowy figures. She told Sonia about her uncle's stories, tales of the Bronze King and the secrets hidden beneath the university. To her surprise, Sonia didn't dismiss her concerns or laugh them off. Instead, she listened with genuine interest, her eyes reflecting both empathy and intrigue. It was as if she too sensed that something extraordinary was unfolding. "My grandmother used to tell stories too. She said this land is older than the university, older than the city itself. There are things beneath our feet that most people never see. Legends of a hidden chamber beneath the university, a place where the spirits of our ancestors still whisper. She said that sometimes, if you listen closely, you can hear their voices in the wind, calling out to those who are meant to find them." Kumi felt a shiver run down her spine. The stories she'd always dismissed as fantasy now seemed to press in on her from all sides. Could this be real? Was there truly something hidden beneath the university, waiting to be discovered? That night, as she lay in bed, Kumi's mind raced. Could there be a connection between her dreams and this hidden chamber? The images from her sleep, whispering spirits, the Bronze King's watchful gaze, seemed to blur with reality, urging her to seek answers. Driven by a force she couldn't explain, Kumi knew she had to find out. The urge to uncover the truth was stronger than her fear. She felt as if invisible hands were guiding her, pushing her toward a destiny she had never imagined. Following Sonia's directions, they found themselves standing before an old, forgotten library building at the edge of campus. The structure was shrouded in vines and shadows, its windows clouded with dust. It looked as though it hadn't been touched in decades, a relic from another time. The air hung heavy with the smell of dust and forgotten things. Every step stirred up motes of sunlight, revealing shelves lined with crumbling books and faded scrolls. The silence was almost sacred, broken only by the soft creak of the floorboards beneath their feet. As Kumi reached out to touch the cool stone wall, she felt a strange energy pulse beneath her fingertips. The wall seemed to hum with life, ancient symbols flickering to life beneath her touch. It was as if the building itself was waking up, responding to her presence. The Bronze King's voice echoed in her mind, urging her forward. His words were both a warning and an invitation, filling her with equal parts dread and excitement. She felt the weight of history pressing down on her, the sense that she was standing at the threshold of something monumental. With a deep breath, she pushed against the wall, and to her astonishment, it moved, grinding open to reveal a narrow, dark passage behind it. The air that rushed out was cool and ancient, carrying with it the promise of secrets long buried. Kumi and Sonia exchanged a look, equal parts fear and determination, before stepping into the unknown, ready to uncover the mysteries that lay beneath the university walls.